Dr. Joshua Clark from Destiny Copper, who is a product of Brock University, a graduate of our chemistry program, and is now a lead chemist at Destiny Copper. And I might add to that success story, the impact that we have, the entire R&D team at Destiny Copper are products of Brock University. And so there really is that impact, and it's that relationship with the industry that we want to have. But you don't want to hear from me anymore. You want to hear about the successes and the impact this is having. So without further ado, I invite Dr. Joshua Clark to the podium.
Thank you, Paul, for that warm introduction. In 2021, commodity analysts at Goldman Sachs called copper the new oil. And while that's quite the striking headline, it makes sense as governments in Canada and the rest of the world transition to a green and electric future. The production of renewable energy resources such as wind and solar, electric vehicles, energy storage, and our growing electric infrastructure will require a huge demand of our copper reserves. Approximately 5.5 tons of copper are required per megawatt generated by solar energy. And if you've ever driven out to Windsor, you may notice the Chatham-Kent solar wind farm, one of the largest in Canada, actually. For each of those turbines, 4.7 tons of copper is required. It's kind of hard to get your head around these figures, but the United States Geological Survey put out a recent report, and they said, in all of human history, 700 million metric tons of copper has been produced. And if we want to, as a species, reach net zero emissions, we will require 1.4 billion tons of new copper to be produced. So that's double the amount produced through all of human history. It's quite a significant challenge, but as innovators and problem solvers, part of our responsibility is to see where gaps exist in current systems and work to bridge them. Destiny Copper is a startup located right here in the Niagara region, and we have developed a patented chemical process for selectively extracting high purity copper directly from waste streams. Reclaiming critical metals like copper from waste not only makes economic sense, but it also reduces the potential impact that waste can have down the road. The Destiny Copper method is a low energy and easy to operate process. It's based on simple chemistry and is a spontaneous reaction that requires no heat or introduction of electrical input. This means it can produce copper at a fraction of the energy of traditional copper production methods such as solvent extraction, electrowinning, or smelting. Now, in the past few months, we have proven that this process can be scaled outside of the lab. As mentioned, the Destiny Copper idea was incubated here at Brock, and now we have a 5,000-liter operational pilot plant in the Thorold Multimodal Hub. This is actually an old paper mill, the old Abitibi paper mill, if any of you are familiar. So now that we're operating there and we're making copper, you can say we're recycling both copper and real estate. When we started collaborating with the VPMI this past summer, a lot has changed in our process, and the VPMI has been with us through every step of the way there. Destiny Copper has now transitioned a bit into a new phase of its process, and we've found some new applications. And we're able to rely on the VPMI to help validate that process iteratively as we progress. When Destiny Copper was founded initially, the idea would be that copper could be reclaimed from waste and sold as a commodity to metal traders. Now, while this is still an option for us, we have recently come to the realization that our method allows for the production of an ultra-fine sub-100 micron copper powder. And this is no longer a metal commodity, but now we're looking into a materials market. And as materials markets have very strict requirements, we need sophisticated analytical instruments to validate the specs of our products. The VPMI has access to a scanning electron microscope, as well as energy dispersive X-ray spectroscopy. These offer invaluable details about our copper powder samples, such as the surface morphology, the overall shape, even the potential surface contaminants that are present in the material. Without these analytical techniques, the level of understanding that we now have of our product would not be possible on a reliable basis. And eventually, perhaps we could grow to a point where capital would allow for it to be internal, but by then we may have already developed infrastructure and invested into kind of writing in stone our current processes. So being able to validate and being able to investigate our material as we produce it through the VPMI is incredibly valuable to our growth. I mentioned earlier the ability of innovators to bridge gaps. The VPMI bridges a significant gap in industry. And smaller companies with promising ideas can gain access to a high level of technical expertise and state-of-the-art instrumentation. I can say that this has been truly beneficial to the growth of Destiny Copper. We're glad to have this hub for collaboration between industry and academia here in the Greater Niagara region. And we are grateful to Paul, as well as the VPMI personnel and the Advisory Council here at Brock. And I would like to also thank you all for your time and attention.